Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the channel. This is part 4 of the ZL1 1LE partial carbon fiber front end conversion. If you have not seen the other videos, should be up here, part 1, 2, and 3, where we knocked out the various stages of this conversion, with part 4, today's video, being the front splitter right here. And you can see I have my bumper up on this fancy little workbench thing. I have some microfiber towels down, and it does have a foam piece that goes around the metal tube to give it some protection, so you can sit your bumper like this or flipped upside down and hopefully not scratch it up or anything like that. I actually got this mount for about 20 bucks at Harbor Freight. I'll put a link down here if you're looking for something similar. Now, as mentioned, today is the front splitter, and we're gonna go ahead and knock this one out. Hopefully this one is quick. We can knock this off and we can get this bumper back on the car maybe in the next video. Now, I wanted to point out real quick what's involved with the splitter. And you can do this if you're just doing the splitter swap on the car without taking the bumper off. Definitely more simple if you have it set up like this. Now, if we take a look, quick precursor look here, we have these beautiful little tabs. If you saw my other videos right here, they're not too difficult. The white ones are fairly durable, and you just want to push this piece inwards and then get like a little trim tool, and you can pop these out. And you're going to have a number of these all the way around the perimeter. Some are upside down, some are right side up, and mostly on the outside edges. You're going to knock these out. I already have 2 removed from here when I was messing with my inlets, and actually got a little too crazy and pulled some of these off, thinking it was part of the inlet when in fact it was just part of the splitter. Now, once you knock these off, you also have some little star bits here. You got, looks like 1 here, and I think there's just 1 here, so maybe just 2. I'll find out once I get this thing pulled apart. But then once you have all these things removed, you do have these little snap clips. So when you separate it, you're gonna have to pop the splitter from these little snaps. Should be able to just squeeze and pop it out, and see if you can see this one's actually kind of already partially popped out. That's from when I hit a tire on the off ramp and did some damage to my car, which kind of got me jump started on this whole conversion process. I had all these parts laying around for months, and it really took me hitting a tire to get me motivated enough to actually do the actual installs. Now, I'm doing the Anderson Composites ZL1 1LE front splitter right here. Beautiful piece. Hopefully it installs without any issues. It looks well done and has a nice uniform weave on it, so I'm hoping the install goes smoothly. Now, on top of that, I'm actually also going to be installing a splitter guard that actually bolts to the bottom of the splitter to hopefully give it a little bit more protection. And I set that somewhere. I have no idea where I placed it, but I'll show you guys what I'm talking about here in a bit. Oh, never mind, here, just down here. Oh, that's the empty box for it. So I took the parts and set them somewhere. So we'll take a look at what I'm talking about once we get the splitter on here and we bolt that up. That should give us a little extra protection on the bottom of this carbon fiber piece. And then hopefully I do plan on getting this paint protective film, hopefully before it gets damaged, because damaging the normal splitter is not super expensive, but damaging a carbon fiber one would be quite painful. So as mentioned, I'm gonna go ahead and remove all these little snaps, the little star bits right here, and then we're gonna see if I can get this thing separated from the bumper, and we'll start cleaning up the underneath while we have it off. ZL1 lip is off of the bumper, came off pretty easily, and you know, some of that for me was helped along by hitting that tire. Had actually released a few of the clips that are in the back. So if you look at here, you have a number of these little metal clips, and some of these were already popped out from the impact of that tire. You can kind of see some of the damage. Not too bad, but you could definitely have some scuffing. Paint protective film probably saved it pretty decently, but even the film is pretty beat up, like big gouges and stuff in a number of spots, and the film's peeling up in a few places. But overall, you know, it did pretty good, and thankfully it didn't shatter or anything like that. But one thing to note, you do want to retrieve these metal clips. They're kind of a pain to pull off. They have those little spikes you see in there, so you have to kind of make sure when you take this off you don't damage or break any of those. And we're gonna have to then transport it over to your Anderson Composite splitter. And kind of hard to show you, but once I get this out of the packaging, we'll take a look. Just keep note, you're going to want to bring those over, if I can find where they're at. And then another thing to point out, you're definitely going to want to give everything a real nice wipe down. It's going to have a lot of dirt and grime. I actually had rocks between the splitter and the inside of the bumper. So make sure you get all those out and get this all cleaned up. Now, the little star piece up here, it was a T15, and there's just 2 of them. Then you had all the little white clips. Super careful with those, don't break them. If you think you may break them, make sure you order some of the part number down here for them, and order some extras so you can replace those without having to wait. So yeah, I'm gonna get this all cleaned up a little bit, and we'll flip it over, clean up on the other side, and then we will get the carbon fiber one unwrapped completely. Maybe set it over here so we take a better look at it and start transporting these clips over onto it. Have the ZL1 1LE Anderson Composite splitter laid out here, unwrapped. See here, thing to note, it has these weird tabs. These are like flex tabs that you kind of bend and lock into place. So they're not like the normal clips. So I misspoke earlier when I said that you may need to transfer the clips over. You don't, because if you kind of look down here, there's nothing for them to clip to. It's all of these weird little flex clips that are going to be pretty much passed through the slots, and then you're going to fold over, I guess, on the inside. And this thing actually had cobwebs on it because it's been sitting in my garage for such a long time. So it would be nice getting this thing up onto the bumper. And so I'm gonna have to use 2 hands, pretty much pick this up, and we're gonna drop it down in there. I'm gonna straighten up these tabs, make sure they're nice and straight. See if I can drop it on here without scuffing anything. If you've really, hardcore, you could tape off any of the points that might scrape with each other. I do have paint protective film on the whole front here, and I'm probably gonna get repaint protective filmed, so I'm not really gonna worry about that. Worst case is I might scuff up the paint protective film that I'm probably gonna get redone. And yeah, so I'm gonna get this thing lifted up, try to drop it on here, get a couple screws maybe in to hold it in place so I can flip it around and get all the locking little bendable clips in place. And then also notice I did find, this is what I'm gonna be putting on the bottom underside. Some of these I'm gonna have to drill, and some are gonna use the factory hardware. So hopefully this will keep the bottom from getting too tore up. And I do want to get this paint protective filmed as well, hopefully very soon, because I do not want to break the new splitter, because these are expensive. So if I break this one, I'm going back to an OEM one. So all right, let's go ahead and get this thing up on the bumper. Anderson Composite 1LE front splitter finally installed. Kind of a pain. Like, so far this whole project's had at least one annoyance or another. Overall fit pretty good. Now you don't, so I mentioned earlier that you may have needed to remove these little metal clips. Well, nope, you don't need to do that. If you're doing the Anderson Composite splitter, it uses these flex tabs. So the flex tab goes through the slots, and then you just kind of reach underneath, and then you bend them over the edge. Now, it fits pretty good. You do have a little bit of a gap here, and you can see back here a little bit of a gap. So you can kind of see, my finger back here. I can't get that any tighter, but once I maybe get it on the car, it might straighten out a little bit and fill some of this gap, and I can go ahead and pull those flex tabs a little bit tighter. But because it's laying over this stand here, the bumper's actually flexing outwards on each end a little bit more, so it's pulling some of this stuff apart, and I think that's causing a little bit of the gap. So it shouldn't be a big deal. That should fill up a little bit once it's on the actual front of the car. Now, pretty much what I need to do, and what you want to do, is you take your Anderson bumper, you're gonna have to kind of start on the bottom and then kind of bend it over a little bit in the center, and you want to line up this little hole here with the center of your bumper. You'll see a little notch here that tells you you're kind of centered, and then you want to kind of flex it over, and then once you flex it over, you can kind of work it around, and then you're going to have to actually push it up here to get it to snap over the little bump that's in your bumper piece right here. And so once you get it over here, it'll clip around the edges on each side. This side was a total pain on me because it was catching a little bit right here, just the way this flexed, and I really had to get some force on here, and it was able to pop over and underneath this lower grill on the corners. And like I said, you do see a little bit of gaps here, but once it's on the car and you're looking on it straight on, you won't really see any of this, and some of this flex will be taken out once it's on the actual car, so I'm not too worried about it. Overall, I think it looks pretty sweet, and I began putting on the skid stopper thing here. Now, I think this is made for the normal splitter, not the 1LE splitter, so it's kind of tucked back further. And then, as you can see here, I have the side pieces. These will go on right here, and we'll button up. But I'm not going to be able to put these on until I get the bumper actually back on the car. Same reason, because it does kind of flex while it's hanging over this this stand right here. And another thing to note, you don't need to reuse any of those little white clips that we took off earlier. All of the actual splitter is held on with these flex, I guess they're flex hook. So you push them through the slots for the clips that the old splitter would go through with clips. Then you just reach up underneath, and then you can bend those little flex tabs and kind of lock this splitter in place. So you can see here how it just kind of sits on there super tight. I mean, pretty good fitment overall. No real complaints. The carbon fiber looks real nice. And yeah, so give you guys a general idea how she looks from a couple different angles. Of course, if you see the car and you're looking at the bumper like this upside down, then the car's probably having a bad day, as is the driver. But you know, here we go. Don't mind my super sweet slippers, but yeah, overall this turned out pretty good. Kind of a pain, like I mentioned. Just got to keep working on it. Don't overforce something and break anything. Just make sure you kind of work it on, and it should eventually clip in. I actually took a break and then I finished this corner over here and just pretty much reached in there and just kind of forced it on into place, but not enough to actually damage anything. Now I do have those pieces that I mentioned back here that are epoxied on that I had to kind of fix, that somehow a little part of it got broken a little bit. One of those came actually unloose because I guess there was a little overspray on the back of the bumper, and so when I epoxied it, it pulled a little bit of overspray off, so I'm gonna have to re-epoxy this. So I'm actually gonna set this on the ground here, make those repairs, and then in part 5, the follow-up video to this, we're gonna go ahead and get the partially repaired bumper back on the front of the car, and then I'm actually going to put in the pieces I had to take off for my tire damage incident to get this thing buttoned up fully to the car. So this was part 4, wrapping it up. Part 5 should be tomorrow maybe, of actually getting this bumper on the car and what you need to do. And I might include a little bit of the repair stuff that I'm finalizing to get all that taken care of. So hopefully you guys liked the video. Sorry, these are kind of spread out a little bit, you know, just kind of knock these out as time allows. And, you know, a few hiccups along the way as you may encounter yourself. So I'm trying to just point these out. So hopefully you can avoid some of the headache that I've had. And, you know, feel free to subscribe, watch the other 3 videos. Once you finish this one, watch the next one when I get it posted up. Stay tuned to my Instagram or my YouTube comment posts, and I'll kind of tell you guys when these things are coming out. And you know, as always, have a good one, and you know, have fun with it. Peace.